Hey guys, so I had somebody ask me a pretty interesting question recently, and I wanted to address it on video, even though I already responded to this person, because I feel like it's important to share this information with you guys in case you guys come across something like this as you're going through and trying to get into the medical field or trying to renew your CPR certification. So the question that I was asked is it legitimate to get your CPR certification online? Um, Now, I will say I personally was able to recently renew my American Heart Association BLS, which is Basic Life Support for Healthcare Providers certification via Zoom, only because of COVID did they start allowing this, but it was only for people who were renewing, not for new certifications. You may be able to find a class where you're able to do like the classroom portion online, and then they do like the skills training and practice and stuff like that, where you're actually like showing that you are doing compressions right, you're practicing on the mannequins. Um, practicing with the bag valve masks and the ambu bags and things like that, depending on whether you're taking a regular CPR class or a BLS class. And you also get to practice with like a training AED. So I feel like it's important that you actually get the hands on training, but if you've already had it and you need to like renew your AHA or Red Cross certifications, then you may be able to do it via Zoom. I don't know how much longer they're going to continue allowing that, only because a lot of the COVID restrictions are letting up now, so there should be no reason why you can't go into a classroom to do the hands on portion. So, usually, if you're doing it, the top two for CPR certifications that I have found that most employers want is either American Heart Association, which is the top one that I've found, or American Red Cross, which I found a few that ask for that specifically, or they will allow it. Most of the places that I have found that want you, like for medical assisting or phlebotomy, they want you to have American Heart Association, a minimum of BLS. Working as a CNA, it's a little bit different. Sometimes you can do Red Cross or American Heart Association. It just depends on the requirements of your facility and your employer. A lot of facilities will offer CPR certification as part of your orientation once you're hired, or they will offer it like after you've been hired. A lot of facilities have like CPR training days where they just have employees sign up and then they do a CPR training class once people sign up. So I did Google online CPR certification, and a lot of different options come up. So, like for example, I'm looking at this one. It says ecprcertification.com, valid for 2 years, CPR National Certificate, National CPR Foundation. It says it is AHA compliant and nationally accepted. However, I don't know how true that is. Um, because, like I said, AEDCPR.com, a lot of these are free classes, but, it doesn't, if you, even if it says that it is AHA compliant, that doesn't necessarily mean that your employer is going to accept it. So if you're a medical assistant or a phlebotomist or even a CNA and your employer is asking you to get an American Heart Association certification, it would have to come from the American Heart Association. It can't, like, there are training schools, so these may be training schools where it says AHA compliant, but if you're not actually getting the card that says American Heart Association, then it doesn't count for your employer, if that makes sense. Um, so I just want you to be aware that there are schools out here or training websites or whatever that will give you a CPR card. They may go over the information with you online or via like a video, and it may actually help someone who doesn't necessarily work in the healthcare field or doesn't need a specific CPR certification. They just need any CPR certification. But most facilities are going to want you to have top choice, American Heart Association. Second choice, American Red Cross. And a lot of like the hospital systems seem to want American Heart Association. Now, obviously, if you haven't heard or you haven't had to renew your CPR recently, there are COVID switches. So, due to COVID, um, they are doing hands only CPR unless you have the proper PPE to complete like mouth to mouth or do the rescue breaths. So you would do compressions only. You wouldn't be doing the rescue breaths unless you had proper PPE just because of the risk of COVID. So I found that really interesting when I recently took my renewal class. And yeah, I was due for it in April, and I did my renewal at the end of April. So I did do it via Zoom, like I said, with an AHA training provider. So I do have the actual American Heart Association BLS card. So it works for what I needed it for. I just prefer to get the BLS. I didn't necessarily need it for the job that I was applying for, but I find that as long as I have the BLS, like if I find a job that requires BLS, then I don't have to go through and do an additional training class or anything like that. So I hope you found this helpful. Make sure that you do your research before you just go and get your CPR certification from anywhere. I would ask, like, if you aren't sure what type of certification it is, I would ask just to make sure that even though they're saying it's AHA compliant, I would go and ask them, if you're AHA compliant, am I getting an AHA card at the end of it? Or will it be a card that says ecprcertification.com? Because obviously that matters. Because for employers, if they're asking for a specific type of CPR certification, they're going to want it to say American Heart Association or American Red Cross, not ecprcertification.com or National CPR Foundation.com. So just make sure that you do your research, because I wouldn't want you to waste money on a certification that you're not going to be able to use, or waste your time getting a certification because some of these are listed as free. It's definitely worth it to take the AHA training if you know you want to work in a hospital setting. Because, like I said, a lot of hospital systems are requiring American Heart Association. So just do your research, and I will talk to you guys again in my next video.